Hello, this is Christina Cook, and we are going to talk about the science behind plant protein. So most of you guys know me by this point, or you've heard some of the WebExes, but let me give you a brief introduction of who I am and what I do. I have a bachelor, master's, and doctorate degree in the sciences. I spent most of my career doing clinical science and research work in either the laboratory or outside the laboratory. I've also worked for pharmaceutical, medical, nutraceutical, and healthcare companies in the biotech and the pharma space, but also in the public and privately traded space. And recently I've spent quite a bit of time on wellness and prevention of care, as well as anti-aging and regenerative care. I have served on for-profit and not-for-profit companies, and I have been able to apply my education as well as my background to strategically lead different companies and teams on science, clinical research, as well as sales and marketing around this area of business. I've been the CEO of multiple networks of companies and providers, and I have been the founder and the CEO of companies throughout the last decade of my life, and most of those companies are in the healthcare space, although some of those are in the arts and music space as well. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I have directed about 23 healthcare companies, been involved in about 41, and I sit on the board currently of 12 companies, and one of those is an Indian health company that is a tribal entity. So that's just a little bit of a background of who I am. And today we want to talk about plant protein. So what are some of the best types of plant protein? So let me give you some examples. Seeds, beans, peas, nuts, soy, and lentils are all powerhouses of good nutrition, and they're a great source of plant protein, loaded with disease-fighting phytonutrients, cholesterol-lowering fiber, and naturally low in cholesterol and sodium. And this is a little bit different than your animal proteins, which can be the opposite. They can actually not be cholesterol lowering, and they can actually cause some cardiovascular issues if you eat too much or eat the wrong types of animal protein, whereas with plant protein, this is a very, very good type of protein to put into our bodies, especially the seed protein, because it gets to the roots and the origin of that plant. And so it is packed full of a lot of ingredients which come from the root or the seed, and so it's at the origin of that plant, so it has the highest nutritional value when it comes from the seed. So what is the power of plant protein? Again, eating a more plant-based diet, it doesn't really matter what type of diet you follow, but if you add these additional incredible ingredients, you're going to have incredible benefits. So you need, starting with the seeds, the nuts, the beans, the peas, the soy, the lentils, etc. You need to put these powerhouse products into your diet so that you are not just ingesting things that we are making in our world, but instead you want to take things that come from the earth and come from the origin and that are produced and are green and healthy and nutritional for your daily diet. So why is this a good powerhouse of nutrition, and why is this such a good source of plant protein? What does it do? Well, it's loaded with disease-fighting benefits, phytonutrients, cholesterol-lowering products, fiber, naturally low in cholesterol and sodium. Again, these are very good products and very good basis of how you should really put a strong foundation into your diet. So I did cite some research. A diet focusing on plant-based sources can be beneficial for helping to prevent diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and mortality. This is from Frank Hu is a Harvard professor that really specializes in nutrition. He did an educational series at the Academy of Nutrition's annual meeting in Atlanta, and he's also done a lot of other series and a lot of other information where he really talks about how eating these types of protein can help prevent diabetes and cardiovascular disease and can help with mortality. So that's an extremely important factor that needs to be remembered when you're choosing what kind of protein to digest and what kind of protein your family digests. What's the benefit of plant-based protein food? There's multiple benefits of plant protein food. Compelling evidence led the 2010 Dietary Guidelines for America to encourage a shift in food intake towards plant-based diets. That's because this will increase your health and make you a better machine. And I hear this a lot, and I say this a lot when I'm giving presentations. We are a machine. We need to take care of the machine that we are, and what I mean by that is you have to consume the right amounts of food. I'm not saying that you do not need to consume meat and poultry and eggs, but you need to make sure they're in moderate amount and lean amounts. And this is not just from Christina Cook, this is from the Dietary Guidelines of America. So the plant-based protein that we're discussing is packed full of this, and especially the seeds, because the seed is the most concentrated area where you're going to get these nutrients. So adding plant protein is a strategy that might help you lose weight as well. So remember how I told you that I work on strategic direction of companies? So as far as the strategic direction of a human being and of our bodies, I'm telling you that adding a plant protein is a strategy that can help you lose weight. When cutting calories, it's essential, it's mandatory to load up on healthy foods. So when you replace the high-fat meat with plant protein, your calories are slashed along with saturated fat while helping to improve the nutritional composition of your diet. It's very, very important. Seeds are very important in doing this. So are beans, and beans are effective because they are also nutrient-rich, and and they contain weight loss trifecta, which is water, fiber, and protein. Same way as a seed. Bean and seed can sometimes be interchangeable, and we've discussed that in other slide decks, but that's something that I wanted to bring up for this particular topic of discussion as well. Diets that contain plenty of protein, fiber, and water usually make you feel fuller, faster, and ultimately they decrease subsequent energy intake. So it's very, very important to do that. Furthermore, protein requires more energy to digest and metabolize than carbohydrates or fat. So proteins are really good, and digesting the right types of protein are, if you have plant-based protein, you're digesting it slower, which keeps you satisfied longer, so you can cut calories. And it also is packed full of those great nutrients and phytonutrients, which are cholesterol lowering and have fiber, as we discussed previously. It's not essential to lose weight, but all of us like to stay healthy. So I don't want to just focus on losing weight when it comes to these plant-based foods. I do want to also discuss overall nutrition and what is important with overall nutrition. I want to do this by focusing on seeds for a small amount of time. Plant seed proteins are small, but they're also full of water, and they're structurally full of hydrophilic protein, which is really, really important from a structural basis. These proteins contain from 83 to 153 amino acids, which reside and play a role in equipping the seed of survival. It also does this in our body. So when we're consuming seeds, the proteins that are in those seeds have a lot of amino acids. I talked previously in the slide deck that we needed 9 amino acids. When we're talking about the seed protein, we're talking about 83 to 153 amino acids. These proteins also assist in maintaining a minimal level of hydration in a dry organism. And what are we? We are a human being that has cells, and we need to be hydrated. So when we are digesting these seeds, we are digesting this high level of hydration into our system, and that helps us with regeneration, that helps us with mortality and morbidity, that helps us with overall living and wellness. These proteins also can prevent denaturization of cytoplasmic components. Why does that matter? Again, it goes back to how can we stay younger, how can we regenerate our body, and a lot of this can stem from the seed protein. They also can play a role during inhibition by controlling water uptake. Again, this is very, very important to the overall health of our bodies and to us staying longer and healthier and well. Longer. So I know that's a lot of words, and I seem to keep saying this, but it is very, very important to our overall health. So I want to switch from seed-based because I think I've driven the point home of how important seed-based protein is, and I also want to talk about plant-based protein. So let's talk about tree nuts. This is just an example of one of the plant-based proteins. Tree nuts and peanuts are the only plant-based proteins that contain fats, but they are healthy fats. In addition to the healthy fats, nuts are a good source of fiber, protein, and select phytonutrients, depending on the nuts. Nuts are a protein food that may help contribute to improved nutrition intake and health benefits. So we've talked previously about what is the oldest type of nut and what is that considered. We've talked about chai. We've talked about also about the black chai and how that's important, and that's one of the facts that I want to bring up about nutrition and protein. I want to draw this back to what that really means and how important that is. I use walnuts, peanuts, and almonds here. According to the DGA, moderate evidence indicates that eating peanuts and certain nuts, walnuts, almonds, and pistachio reduce the risk factors of cardiovascular disease when consumed as a part of a diet that is nutritionally adequate and in which the calories are needed. Studies suggest that people who eat nuts have healthier diets overall. In the Perry-Medi study, people who ate a Mediterranean type of diet and more than 3 servings of nuts per week had a 30% risk reduction in heart disease and a 39% lower mortality risk. That is very, very important, obviously. So I want to go back to that and discuss how that's important to you all and how that's important to our overall health and how that's important to your diet. Not only is it helping you keep full and promote weight loss, but there are 33 clinical studies where researchers find that this diet can include the fact that it does not increase body weight even though it has a protein and a fat in the nut. So a lot of times people will talk about that seeds or nuts have a lot of fat, and really it's just a very compact nutrient which when released into the system, it's not making you gain weight, it actually can control weight. And a lot of the products that are in some of the nutraceutical products that are out there right now are nut-based or seed-based products, and they are very, very important to the overall health. Again, plant-based proteins, why are they important? They're important because the Dietary Guidelines of America say they are, right? No, that's not the only reason. That's important because those are nutritionists and experts that really review what's important to your health. But it's also important because 1 to 3 cups of this per week of certain types of protein can make you and your family have better nutrients overall, have better fiber, calcium, and potassium intake, which are often missing in American diets and are often concerns. So that's why it's important, not just because someone tells you it's important, but because it really is. So for example, most Americans only get about 15 grams of fiber, less than the daily recommended, which is 25 to 38 grams. If you do plant-based proteins with legumes, you are absolutely getting more than that. And also with other beans, it comes with a wide variety of good-to-you nutrients that are good for your heart. So a 2005 study reported that 1/2 cup per day of beans was associated with a 38% lower risk of heart attacks. That's another reason this is very important. Less heart attacks, better health overall, more fiber, hitting those super nutrients, not just what the DGA says, but what we know are super nutrients and better for us overall. So where are the resources coming from for these guidelines? Dietary Guidelines of America and Dietary Guideline Association, United Healthcare Studies, Nutritional Studies and Lit Reviews on Nutrition from Harvard, Omni Heart Studies, the DASH Studies, the Government Health Guidelines, Perry-Medi Studies, and NIH and PubMed. So these are not just facts that I am discussing, but these come from major studies. So research is important not just because it's a recommendation of what we tell others, but because it can help provide you with the needed information to help you have a better life that is healthier, where you remain well, where you have better nutrition. Can't promise that from just because you're eating plant-based products or because you have seed-based products, but it is an important factor which can contribute to your overall quality of life and health well-being. Thank you very much.